Good morning, everyone. It is March 2nd, 2021, and we're going to be given a quick staff update on Package 2 project. I'm hoping that everybody's having a good day, everybody's tuned in. Basically, the objection of our meeting today is to ensure that the staff is updated on the progress of what's going on. We're going to quickly give you some context of what's going on in the background, and the intention is to have more of these meetings where we can give you clarity on what's going on in the project. We'll also dive into the specifics on the equipment packages, the procurement process, and there's quite a lot of information that we can share with you guys as you go. We are going to be checking with our communication specialist, Audrey, as well as HR, Ms. Miguela, so that we can actually figure out a best time for us to be able to sit back and give you guys some information on a regular basis where we can actually log on virtually and update you on the progress. We're going to be doing some stuff here where we're trying to bring across more information to you, the staff. I don't know if anybody knows about Yammer as part of the Microsoft 365 package that we're using for our emails. We have a platform which is similar to Facebook, where we can actually post stuff daily on what's going on, weekly probably, where we can update you on what's happening with the progress, with the projects. We're also going to be using our website. I don't know if anybody had the opportunity to log on to sxmairport.com. When you go to the construction tab, anyone who wants to know what's going on with the tender process at this point can log on and follow and see exactly where we are, how many documents was actually submitted, as well as the other projects that are coming up. We also have a portion for GRM, that's a grievance redress mechanism. This is a platform, you can also find it on our page, sxmairport.com, where anyone who has any issues with the project, be it a worker, be it someone in the community, an airline, whoever, even staff, you have the opportunity to log on, download, or fill out the form online and submit it. We have a full team that's going to review it, and within 15 days, we need to give you an update on what we're doing with that complaint as it comes in. So these are some of the tools that we're going to be using to be able to communicate a little bit more with you. Today, I'm going to give you a quick recap on where we were, what we have done, some of the repair works that was carried out, the World Bank, how they came into play, as well as Package 2, what we're doing with the reconstruction of the terminal building. As we all can remember, Irma back in September 5th, it says here, but it actually was September 6th. Category 5+++ that created so much destruction as it went through. I don't believe any of us expected our airport to look the way it looked like the day we walked through, the following day after that hurricane. I myself, if I look at these pictures, I still don't believe it, even though I've been looking at these pictures so many times already. But being the resilient airport that we are, we went ahead and we opened the terminal back in October of 2017, that is. We put some open tents where we actually had a makeshift check-in area, screening, security procedures, everything was put in place to allow us to open up. Do you all remember we also used the FBO for the arrival passengers? That sounds like ages ago, but that's what we did to make sure that we had commercial flights coming back to St. Martin. But that was not a very comfortable situation. Eventually, we had some large tents that we referred to as the pavilions These were put in place to ensure that we had more air conditioning, more space, and we could also accommodate some concessions. But as you can see in here, that slowly got congested as well. At that point, while we were still in the pavilions, we started out working on the roof. The roof repairs work was actually put in place, where we first went through 3 phases until we were completed from March 2018 all the way over to September 2019. The first portion was when we cleaned up the roof. We started with the roof rust proofing, as well as we waterproofed the roof, which allowed us to start with package 1. We also, in phase 2, put in some omega profiles. That's something like your rafters in your house, which on top of the roof. We put in some insulations, and we strengthened the roof from 130 miles per hour up to 185 miles per hour. So it's significantly stronger. Last and not least, phase 3, we put in the soffits, which is the under portion of the canopy, as well as the bull noses, which is the round caps around the edges. And we also put in some infrastructure for some lights. So at night, we can light up the canopies. Eventually, we were in the building, package 1. Package 1, as you can all know, that's what we're living right now. We're only using a third of the building, and it's only the ground floor. Eventually, package 1 was not large enough, so we moved over to package 1A, where we put in the temporary extension to the B gates. And there, we were able to get 3 additional gates. We were able to get an additional restroom, a bar. The whole area was air conditioned. And basically what we did was we took what used to be the baggage makeup area, remove a belt, and created a very, very comfortable waiting lounge. I'm still always amazed at how beautiful the fixtures came up on the wall. During that same extension to package 1A, we also put in some infrastructure for Menzies, because all of the bags normally were taken from the front, walk through a narrow corridor to the screening belt that we have, and that was a very congested walk. Took quite a while, and by using some of the belts that we had in the old check-in area, we relocated it to package 1 and created a easy transition for bags now to move from the check-in counter to the back in screening. Then we're ready for package 2. But for us to be able to do that, we started to team up with the World Bank. So let me give you a little bit of information on what's going on there. Back in September 2019, we got the approval for the World Bank loan. In December, we actually signed it, but it did not become effective until April 2020. When I said effective, that means the funds were now available for us to be able to start using. With the World Bank and the EIB, we came up to $129 million. 122 million, 50 from the World Bank, 50 from the EIB, 72 from the World Bank, plus our counterpart, 7 million, came up to 129 million. The funds were given from the government of the Netherlands, plus the EIB, because the World Bank is actually the one who's dealing with the the money from the government of the Netherlands. This was actually given to the government of St. Martin, and the World Bank is actually the one managing it. And they're using the NRPB as our implementation entity. So anything that needs to be paid to the contractors is not paid directly from the airport's bank, but it goes through a bank account that was set up by the NRPB and at the airport to be paying all the contractors. That's the way that the World Bank can ensure that the funds are used correctly. We are right now going through the tender phase. We have not dispersed any of the funds, much of the funds as yet, but looking at the risk classification of the World Bank is considered moderate. It's not high or low, but it's moderate. And they are very satisfied with the way we're implementing this project at this point. They seem to be very much on their good side. The funding that I just explained is broken down into 4 components. Component 1 is only for the reconstruction of the terminal building. That's the 50 million from the World Bank, 50 million from the European Investment Bank, EIB, as well as 7 million from the airport. That makes up the $107 million. The World Bank also put out component 2, which is for capacity building and for project management. This fund is being used to pay our environmental specialists for us to be able to deal with the auditing that is required. $500,000 was made available to carry out that. That's one of the components, component 2. Component 3 is also capacity building because we, as I indicated before, we're working with the NRPB, and they also needed to have persons available to assist them on their side to be able to take care of the funding that's going through. Another $500,000 was made available by the World Bank to ensure that that capacity was also there. And one of the issues with the World Bank is they realized that after Irma, we had quite some liquidity issues, and they wanted to ensure that we had funding available to be able to pay our staff, pay our electricity, our utilities, in case there would be any kind of a snag, a hurricane, or anything that came by. No one really knew it, but COVID-19 came to play, and the component 4 that they put in place back in 2020, actually 2019, came into play, which is what we have been tapping into lately to be able to pay staff from, since the airport was actually at almost a standstill at one point. During from March over to June, July, we had no flights coming in, and the airport was able to tap into component 4 from the World Bank to ensure salaries were paid. So in a nutshell, $129 million has been made available to ensure that the project is executed correctly. The project goal is to safeguard the project, making sure safety and security is carried out, because this is a project we will be phasing from one location to the other. We need to ensure that we do not break any of the safety protocols, and security is still up to par. We also have to make sure that we remain within budget. We're trying our utmost to ensure that cost overrun does not play a part of this project. We also need to ensure that the local contractors get an opportunity to participate on this bid. If you go to our website, sxmairport.com, there's a tab construction. This will allow you to, as a local contractor, to register your company. This has been shared with those who are bidding, so they know which local contractors were actually interested. This was a partnership with the Chamber of Commerce that we made this link available so that the bidders will be able to tap into the local market. To carry out this, we also needed to ensure that we follow the World Bank procurement process. This process is a very, I won't use the word tedious, but it's a very rudimentary, it's specific, and it has quite a number of steps that needed to be carried out before we can award the contract. This was done for package 2, for the reconstruction works, and we also have 7 equipment packages: border bridges, the baggage handling system, security screening machines, so service backdrops, digital signage, actually the large screen FIDs, as well as the video walls, the seating. All of these packages need to go through this same procedure set up by the World Bank. This is one of the reasons why it has taken us such a long time to go through all of these processes. Because of the World Bank as well, we needed to ensure safeguarding the environmental safeguard framework, which is from October 2018. In there, we had to put in our COVID-19 safeguard strategy, where we are ensuring that we screen our workers, physical distancing, how we're going to be able to sanitize, and ensure that COVID-19 protocols are carried out during the project. We also needed to include a grievance redress mechanism. This is a complaint form. Anyone who is associated with a project, or even anyone who wants to complain about a project, be that airline workers, be that the staff in the airport, be that someone from the community that has a problem, a question, objection, a concern about the project, you can log on to our website at successairport.com. Under the documents, you will be able to file a grievance with the airport on the project, and we will get back to you within 14 working days. We have a full team that's going to be reviewing all of these complaints to ensure that none of them slips through the crack. And every quarter, we do file something called environmental monitoring report that actually highlights any of the grievances that we have received. So it's a very transparent process. So where are we right now? Package 2. Before we can start, we need to do some pre-works. As you all know, package 1, when that was initiated, the sprinkler system was put into operation, but the sprinkler system in the non-operational area was not. That was a requirement by the insurance that when the construction is starting, that we protect the building to ensure that while the construction, that the fire protection is there. We brought in Pro Engineering installers back in November 2020 to start that process. They repaired the pump room, they repaired the sprinkler system, and I believe they're just about ready to hand over the project to us. Very near completion at this point. We also needed to take care of the mold within the building. So back in June 2020, we sent out a tender for mold remediation and waste disposal. We had quite a number of locals as well as international contractors that bidded for that. AAR, they actually had the best bid for both mold remediation and waste disposal. We were able to put that particular bid together, the projects together, and in October, we were able to sign that contract with them. They started in November with the intention at 150 days later that they would be completed in April. They're pretty much ahead of schedule. They were working with some local contractors, which was Tidal Wave, All Caribbean AC, as well as Caribbean General Contractors. Tidal Wave was the manpower to do all of the demolition work, all of the mold remediation, the sanitizing of the terminal. All Caribbean and General Contractors, they were the waste disposal team that ensured that all of the stuff that came out of the building, metals, glass, all of the molded sheetrock and wood, that this was taken off island and not disposed into our landfill. This was a very green project that we were able to execute. They are pretty much on track, and we expect them to be able to hand over the building hopefully by the end of March, a little bit ahead of schedule. For the project management itself, PJIAE first put together a project team. I think you guys will recognize most of the folks within this forum. This was the team that took all the requirements from the stakeholders, be it the airlines, the concessionaires, the retail, the car rentals, and in immigration, customs. We had numerous discussions. We were able to put the design together and get it approved, and at that point, start the implementation of it. During the execution of the project, a project management unit was put together. This is the team. Of course, there's some locals as well as some foreign, some international workers that came down to assist on the project. We still will be working along with our designer, which is Corgan. They're the ones who were here during package 1. They designed package 1 with us. They're designing the work, the drawings for package 2. And they will be here to assist during the construction if there's any design work that needs more clarification. We will also have a supervising engineer, which is Roy Haskonen, who's going to be joining us. They will be monitoring the execution of the works, and we're still now waiting for the contractor to come on board. Project timeline. This is a bit of a long, I can say it's been a long time we've been looking at this timeline. The mold remediation, as I indicated, started in November. We expected to finish in April. So that is pretty much taking care of itself. But for package 2, we started in October where we sent out the SPN, which is a special procurement notice. That is World Bank's acronym for the start of the tender process. We sent that out on the 26th of October to numerous bidders. We actually, if you go to our website, I mentioned sxmairport.com, the construction tab, we have everything laid out there on what all of the bidders were able to do. They were able to log on to that platform and receive all the information. The bids are now expected to come in the 23rd of March, somewhere around here. In April, we started doing our evaluation with the hope that in July 2021, we'll be able to have the mobilization and the start of the works. March 2023 is the planned completion date. This year will be updated once we have the contractor on board, when we can plan exactly how we're going to phase the job for the contractor to carry out. I just want to dig in a little bit here so you can understand what all we were doing during October to now. In October, when the bids went out, November, we had something called a pre-bid meeting. Virtually, we logged on with all of the bidders who were interested in participating in the project. We had something called a Matterport camera, where we mapped the whole building, the entire building, where you can now virtually walk through the space. We mapped the level 2, 1, ground floor, as well as the basement. And we spoke with the contractors and let them know exactly how we expected them to send in their bids, what it is our expectations were, as well as share those details with them. While that was happening, we also gave them the opportunity to ask questions on the bid. RFCs, requests for clarifications. We received a lot. In November 2020, we received over 125 questions. The second time, we received over 72 questions, 51. In total, up to January, we received close to 270 questions. We were expecting at this point, I'm been kind of nodded by my colleagues. If you guys don't have any questions as I'm going forward, please go ahead and type it into the chat. There's someone monitoring the chat, and they will be able to stop me to get me apart as we go. As I was explaining, over 270 questions were asked, and we were hoping to be able to get the first bids to come in on the 12th of January. But due to COVID, many of the bidders requested additional time. They indicated they were having some problems receiving answers from their subcontractors, their suppliers, and the 12th of January was not doable. So we extended it over to the 9th of February. We issued an amendment where we also changed the way they needed to submit their bids. So instead of them being able to having to come to St. Martin and bring their bids in a sealed envelope, we allow them to submit their bids electronically. They were able to email it with a password, an encrypted file. To ensure the integrity of the file, we also had them email the password to a law firm, while we only received the file. And when we're opening the bids, we will get the password from the law firm, where we can then at a point open the bids on the same day that they're received. The second amendment was due to all of these questions that came in. These guys then dug into the document. I mean, we have over 135 bidders, or should I say contractors, that logged onto the site, and they were asking all of these questions. And some of these needed further clarifications. And because of those clarifications, we needed to give them some more time. So we extended the time to now the 23rd of March, with the intention of putting a third amendment out there, which would give them that information that they were requesting. I'm very, very happy to say today we received the no objection from the bank. The no objection from the bank indicating that the bank has seen the amendment and how we wanted to process it. They have no issues with how we're doing it. So we will today be uploading onto our bidding platform this no objection, which will now allow the bidders to include their stuff in the process. into their bids. This is very important because without that, we would have had to extend this bidding period from the 23rd of March by probably an additional week. We're very happy to say we're now pretty much on time. So the bid closing date is the 23rd of March. After that, we'll be doing the evaluation. Once we evaluate the bids, we have, again, going through the process, another 10 days after we have identified which contractor we believe is going to be the main contractor for the bid. We need to, at that point, give the others that did not receive, that was not chosen, the opportunity to object before we can award. So all of that is going to happen between April and June of 2021 with the intention of July of us starting the process. I hope that was clear. I tried to be as open and explain you guys in this process because it took much longer than we had anticipated, but it was important because we needed to protect the integrity of the bidding process so that at the end of the process, we did not get any kind of objections from bidders that could derail the project. Again, if there's any questions, please do not hesitate to go ahead and type in your questions in the chat. So as I indicated, there's quite a bit of improvements that needs to be done. Some of the upgrades we did was strengthening the roof to 185 miles per hour. We're going to be strengthening the doors as well because those were the first thing that got blown in during the hurricane. The floors, which we're trying to save them, but with all of the construction, all of the movement, all of the redesign that's going to go on, the floors were no longer something that we could salvage. So we're going to be upgrading them using terrazzo. That's an old type of flooring, but very durable. That's going to cover the tiles. So we're going to rough up the tiles so that the terrazzo can connect very good to them. And that's going to be the new flooring that's going to give us the opportunity to make some kind of designs in the flooring. The building monitoring system will be updated, as well as better floor space. We're living, should I say, working. I felt like we're living in this building because we've been here so long. We work in the building for the last 15 years, and we know what worked, what did not work. So we had the opportunity to make some modifications on how we're going to be using the space. We had discussions with different stakeholders, and there's some enhancements for the passengers. The passengers who are arriving, they will now be able to go to escalators at the bridges. They'll be able to, when they arrive, instead of using only the stairs or the elevators, there's also escalators. There's going to be check-in kiosks. Before we had about 12, we're going to go up to around 30. We're going to have self-service bag drops. So you go to the kiosk, you go straight to the bag drops. You don't have to go to the counter to be able to check in and tag your bag all the way through. Airlines will also have a baggage service office. This is something that the airline's been asking for quite a while. The baggage service office allows that if a bag did not come on the flight with the passenger, that they can come from the land side, go to this office, and be able to claim their bags. This is going to enhance the service that the airport will be able to give the passengers. Larger flight information displays. We have very small displays, 30-inch screens. These are now going to be large video wall type displays for all of the flights. The opportunity to add more food and beverages to the building. The check-in counter design that's going to be modified. It's more like a door. The counter itself was swing like a door, which would allow the agents to easily get behind the counter without having to walk on the scales. This was a big issue for the airlines, especially for the ladies who were wearing tight skirts or whatever, that now they can easily get to the back of the counter and don't have to trip on the scales. More office spaces for the airlines, level 2, where we had our offices, we are going to be expanding that so that we have more of a spaces up there, which we'll be able to rent to the airlines. There's going to be an elevator, a new elevator close to where ADF used to be, or where ADF is coming back, which will take persons to level 1 as well as level 0. And we're going to put some cafeterias on different levels as well. Other upgrades is going to be for immigrations, where we're going to be changing their counters so that they're now facing the passengers. We're also going to be relocating immigration that is behind security screening, and security screening will be first. And the car rentals, we also had discussions with those. They were always complaining that they were paying the airport to be inside the airport, but they were not protected. So we were able to relocate where they were at the entrance and put them closer to the exit of the reclaim. So those passengers who are arriving will see the car rentals before they see anybody else in the meet and greet. This is how we were able to protect them. next meetings we're looking at is for March 23rd, 2021, which just happens to be the date we expect the bids to come in. In the morning, we want to give you a little bit more information because this was really a high-level overview on the bidding process, where we are in package 2, but there's so much more information that we can provide you guys. We want to give you a little bit more information on equipment packages, as well as some of the changes, the improvement that we have done in the building, where we can kind of walk you through floor by floor on what the changes are in the building. So again, thank you guys for logging on today. We apologize. We apologize for the technical issues, but I understand that there was a question. And the question that was posed there was, who is going to actually evaluate the bids? Well, we have put together a team of persons who are familiar with the tender process. These people will be signing off on non-disclosure. So once they are in part of the team, they will not be able to speak with anybody about the process at all. They'll also need to sign off that there's no conflict between the airport as well as the bidders, to ensure that they're not affiliated with the bidders. So it will be people from the project management team, there will be people from the designers, people from the supervising engineer who will be carrying out the bids and taking care of that process. It's going to be a very transparent and very clean evaluation process. Is there another question? Can you say that again?
Does the building have direct ventilation to avoid mold in the future?
The question there is, the building will have more ventilation to avoid mold in the future. We're putting the building back pre-armor, so it'll still be the same glass. It'll still be the same air conditioning system that's going to be updated, of course, with the building management system. But we'll be using different material instead of sheetrock. It's going to be a little bit more mold resistant sheetrock. I can kind of use it in a gypsum board, that if it does get wet, it will take a lot more moisture before it actually starts to mold. So those are some of the enhancements that we're doing in the new design. Any more questions? Again, I do appreciate everyone who logged on. Again, we do apologize for the technical difficulties, but this is not the last presentation. The 23rd of March, as I have up here, we would like you all to join us again, where we will be walking you through the floors of the terminal and give you a bit more insight on what the changes are to come. Again, thank you all for logging on and have a good day.